At the end of the day, I'm here to help entrepreneurs design brands that guide them to seven-figure success. What's shaking, everybody? Welcome to another Brand Doctor live stream. Yeah, not a podcast, live stream. Man, I just threw Oasis right into the fire here. I thought, honest to God, I thought I had my times mixed up because he's an hour behind me. And I was like, oh, was it 2 o'clock? Because we usually meet at 2 o'clock, but now it's 1 o'clock. So just for the record, moving forward, every live stream and podcast that we record live is going to be at 2 p.m. Eastern moving forward. I was thinking about this the other day, and I said, imagine trying to watch your favorite TV show and never knowing what time it was going to air. it would be the biggest pain in the ass. So I said, you know what? I am going to solidify my content calendar, and we are going to make some concrete times for things. So any podcast or live stream that we record live is going to be going down at 2 p.m. Eastern moving forward. So anyway, Oasis, how we doing, buddy?
Good, man. Good.
So we're going to be talking about what your branding says about you when you're not in the room.
Your brand, what is it? Your brand is a silent ambassador of your business.
Right. We've heard that 1,000 times. Yeah. You know, there's some things here that I want to talk about that I think a lot of folks that don't have branding and marketing on their to-do list, or it may not be as top of mind as it is to us, because this is the field that we're in, and this is what we're super passionate about. But I want to talk about some of the issues of not understanding what your branding is saying about your business. And I'm not just talking about what it looks like, I'm talking about what it sounds like, I'm talking about
so let me ask you a question, Henry.
Yeah.
And not to get too off topic, but do you ever ask any of these already established businesses that come to you and say, "Hey, look, we're unsure of who we are. We're no longer, we don't feel like we're relevant with the customers that we're serving, and of course, we're encountering all these other issues." Do you usually ask them, "Why did you put this off in the first place?"
It's a great question. I never asked them why you put it off. I ask,
or why was it unprioritized?
I asked the question, why do you think that?
Yeah.
Instead of why you put it off. But that is a really good question too. I think the typical answer will be, and you'll probably get this answer a lot because it's knee jerk. It'll be, well, I've been wanting to do it forever. I just haven't gotten around to do it yet.
Yeah.
So I would ask a stronger question, like, why do you want to do this so urgently now? Yeah. That answer is going to be a very interesting one, right? So then now they'll be like, well, we're getting hosed over here because, our online presence sucks and we're not getting business. I think that's what they would say. That's what they would say. Like, our pipeline is dry. Our message isn't resonating, because if it was, we would have more sales. Yeah. And the list goes on. So that would be my thought, and that would be my real curiosity there is, why did they put it off? So not why did they put it off, but why did they think this, right? Why did they think this in the first place? Then from there, but I think a lot of the things that I see on a regular basis is people think that their branding looks really, really good, or it sounds really, really good, and it's not. Because they never really had a professional eye on it. Yeah. And so what may look good to you may not look good to your audience. It may not even look good to another professional. So,
That's right.
there's there's a lot of mess. I mean, there's surely enough of bad design out there and bad branding going on. Like, why contribute to all of that when you can literally stand out from thousands of people that do what you do by readjusting and focusing in on some strong brands. So
it's an opportunity.
It's a super opportunity. But where do you see the big problem when it comes to what businesses' brands are saying about them? Like, I'm curious to hear from you, your thoughts on this.
Man, Henry, it ranges from just inconsistency in their message, and inconsistency in their image. What they might be putting out there, what's on their website is completely different from what their marketing materials look like. Some of the stuff that they're sending out, even through their emails, if they're sending out an email, and then same thing on social media. Inconsistency in the message, inconsistency in design, inconsistency in the just their inconsistency in posting. The amount that they're posting, what they're putting out there, and then of course communication. So why I have not launched still.
Yeah. Sylvia here, one of our live stream listeners, says it very, very clear. This is why I have not yet launched. I'm still not secure in how to start with branding. You're not alone, Sylvia.
Yeah.
You're not alone. Think about all the other people out there that are not confident in their brand's identity, their brand's messaging, their products. We talked about this last week.
Yeah. Yeah.
What that does on a subconscious level.
Exactly.
When it comes to selling.
And it goes all the way down. Let's say if you have an entire team of salespeople, if they don't believe and they don't buy into what they are selling, well, guess what? That's going to impact their performance. Then that's going to impact your business's performance.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So let's do this.
Driving your entire business with a blindfold.
And horrible way to drive, by the way.
Yeah.
I wouldn't recommend that. Right? Wouldn't recommend that. So here's what I want to do. Right after this quick little message, I want to help the audience get a little bit more dialed in with positioning. And I'm going to ask some questions. I'm actually going to share a little bit of my workshop doc here. I haven't done that in a while, of how to get clearer on your brand's messaging and how it needs to be positioned in order to attract the right client. So right after this quick message, we're going to get into it. Let's rock. If you're a business owner who feels your branding isn't truly representing the value that you deliver, check out this free video training that will help you level up your brand's messaging and online presence so that you can start attracting higher quality clients. Visit www.uniquedesignz with a Z at the end, not an S, .net/level up my branding. So I want to share screen here for a second and walk you through a little exercise here. And this is actually coming from a workshop doc that we did with a client a couple weeks back, which they've now graduated from this program, but moving on to bigger and better things. But one of the parts of the workshop that I do with clients is go through the brand attributes exercise. And these are real life answers. These are not like fluffy, I filled this in, for the sake of this video. This is what we've come up with when working together with the client. And we break it down into different categories. And I'm going to share these categories with you one by one. So the first thing that we want to establish is the culture, like words used to describe your business. Okay. So these were some of the things that we came up with together. All right. And then what I tell them to do is, okay, out of the top 10, what's the top 5 that we're going to pull in to the second column? And then I make them drill down even harder and say, okay, out of the top 5, what are the top 3? And so that's what we do for culture. So at the end, now myself and my design team have a better understanding of what their culture is. Right. And then I have some notes down here that I would fill in if there were talking points that I wanted to remember. Okay. So that's establishing your culture. All of this is going to compound into a really strong brand presence online. Okay. The next thing that we look at is feeling. How do you make others feel with your business? So these were some of the answers that we created. This is the top 5. And then this was the top 3. Right? Now you got to keep in mind, this business is operated by 2 men. One is 19 years old and one is 20 years old. These 2 gentlemen are far ahead of their age as far as maturity goes, but they do have a awesome touch and pulse on culture, pop culture. So I don't know about you always, but I'm getting a little up there in age, and these guys kept me young, man. These guys kept me like in tune with what was going on. And it made me feel young. Like their energy when they would come on these workshop calls was contagious. Now I don't have to worry about that, but it just made the experience that much more fun because they brought this young, hip, energetic energy to, the whole process, which was a lot of fun.
Don't you love clients like that?
I do.
It's always fun to work with clients like that bring that equivalent amount of energy. I mean, you bring a great deal of energy already, but to have the clients come in and match that or even exceed that, it just gets you pumped up.
Yeah, I mean, I was talking to not to get too off track, but I was talking to a client yesterday about energy on video, and we were and they showed me a video that they recorded.
Hello. Henry.
All right, gotta love it when everything freezes up.
I was like, what's going on? Henry just froze up.
Yeah. So sorry about that, guys. It
No,
looks
no.
like so it is what it is. We will pick it up where we left off. But we were talking about energy, and we were talking about how you got to bring the energy when you are on camera. And I was talking about a client that reached out, wanted me to look at a video that they recorded, and there was just super low energy. And I got 30 seconds in, and I was like, you have to jack this energy up, especially if you're going after business owners. I don't care how hot the lead is. If you're going after business owners that are busy, that want to get straight to the point, that want to just get it, you got to bring it with that speed and that energy and that emotion. And I said, I don't care if you got to do jumping jacks or run in place for 15 seconds to build up that energy. You got to do it.
Get about 10 to 20 burpees in, if that's what you have to do.
That'll do it. That'll do it. So I was showcasing, I don't know if that was the reason why we were freezing up, but I'm going to take my chances again and bring in this slide deck. Now, this is part of some of my brand accelerator strategy that I do with clients, and I'm going to walk you through a couple more slides, but we talked about, culture, establishing the culture, establishing the feeling that your business delivers, and then getting into impact. And what I do here is we brainstorm down and we synthesize down what we want our brand's attributes to really stand for. And so impact, this is the question that I ask you. What are the benefits of your business or of your offering? Right? And so we brainstorm, narrow down. And now I'll take this, and again, I will synthesize this down to even a single attribute when it comes to impact, right? So the tone of voice, right? The tone of voice. How do we need to sound to our clients? Right? And this is what we did. We filed it down to humble, empathetic, trustworthy.
Do you usually provide them with a word bank to select from, or they're just coming from off the top of their mind?
Yeah, so that's too easy. That's making it too easy. So what I like to do is I like to really push them. And if I get like a real bland answer, I push harder. So for example, I had a client that coming through this process, and I was talking about X factor. What makes you different from everybody? And can you take a guess? Take a guess. The answer that I get all the time when I ask that question.
Customer service.
Close. Process. My process is my X factor. Okay, well, that's super, super boring and super bland. And your process can be easily duplicated.
Yeah.
So is that really your X factor? So I'll drill down even harder and say, well, what about your process makes it different? Oh, well, we have this onboarding process where it's extremely premium and high end. And anytime a new client comes in, they get this package and they open it up, and it's like this beautiful, it's like when you get an Amex Black card, like the box it comes in, like it's like, it feels like felty and we have all of this cool stuff in it. And, it really sets the tone of our work and da-da-da. Okay, now we're talking. Now I see what makes this different. Now that could all be duplicatable too. However, how many of your competitors are actually taking the steps and taking that extra mile to do? Probably not much.
Yeah.
Right. Every little thing. So getting back to today's topic is, what is your branding saying about your business? When you show up, when you show up with that kind of brand asset, when you show up with that kind of experience, you're automatically 50 miles ahead of your, 100 miles ahead of your competition. So, so it looks like Sylvia says, but we do need guidance. Yeah, absolutely. Again, like I mentioned earlier, we're branders. We take this stuff for granted that this comes very natural to us, where business owners, they don't have the background in branding that we do. So you're going to need the guidance. Absolutely, Sylvia. So that's what we're doing this video for. We want to help you position yourself in a way that is going to really truly represent what your business is and how it helps people and how you want to be perceived. So I didn't want to give away too much of that document because, one, to be fair to my client, but two, making sure that you get just the nuts and bolts out of this that you need in order to start to pay attention to what your branding is saying about you. And I want to really emphasize this, that it's not just your look and feel online. It's how you're coming across. Yeah. Like, do people perceive you as trustworthy, reputable? I'll give you a funny question. I'll give you a funny story in a second, but talk to me, Awais. Like, when a client comes to you, if a prospect comes to you, how do you size up their business? How are you judging their business?
How am I judging their business? So, a couple of ways. First of all, what's their current standing in terms of what their branding looks like, right? I think that's going to be and like you said, it's not just about the look and feel, but also the way that their messaging is. Then from that, when I'm talking to the prospect, it's the overall body language, just their tone of voice, how energetic are they? How excited are they currently about their business? Because that'll get me to measure in terms of what's really happening. What's really happening, and then as we start digging a little bit deeper, if they've been around for a while, it seems like they're running into the same classic issues of, hey, we're hitting a ceiling. Or our sales are down. We're not just flatlined. We've just been experiencing just a low in our sales. And so why is that, right? So I continue to dig deeper, and of course we're going to try to tie it to brand, but with some legitimacy there, right? Not just like, hey, you need a new website, you need a complete brand refresh, but really trying to get them there. And trying to get them to understand that there's a link between their business performance, their sales performance, the way that they're putting their message out there, if they're putting their message out there, right? If they even have like a consistent marketing tactic in place.
So that's good. Those are good questions, and that's good things to pay attention to when you're, looking at a business and seeing where they're deficient and where they're, and we mean no. And I just want to preface this because somebody would be like, well, who are you to judge my business or website, or, you know what I mean? So we're not here to bash anybody, because we understand that. I'm going to drill it again. I don't expect you to know all the branding stuff that we know. So, all right. But here's a couple of things that I'm looking for. If I'm looking at a website, or if I'm looking at a business in whole, my first question is, who the hell are you trying to sell to? I want to know who the hell you're trying to attract before I say anything about your business identity or messaging, right? And then I want to see, I love the point that you brought up is, where's the energy? What level of energy are you coming to market? How many websites have we gone to that it is so templated, it is so boring, It is so bland where you're like, oh my God, please bring the electrical paddles out and shock my ass to get excited about this, because clearly I'm not getting that energy here on this website. And so I always encourage people, like, how many times you get this question? I guess I get it a lot because I brand people, but they say, what should I be focusing in on, my business brand and my personal brand? Well, both is my answer.
Yeah.
But two, like, I want to feel you. Like, I want to feel the business, right? If I come to a business that I can laugh and they got me hooked right in the beginning, and they got me, they're evoking emotion out of me.
Exactly.
Now I want to dig deeper.
Yeah. It's that way to connect. That's how you're going to be able to connect with that right customer.
Right. So I'm a pretty, I would say, extroverted guy. I have high energy. I'm always out there. I always want to make people laugh. I always want to make, even if I come out with the corniest shit, like, I'm still trying to make you laugh. And I want to be part. And it was always like this. Why? Because that was my mother. She would show up at parties and they couldn't wait for her to get there, because she was like the comic relief. She was the energy. She was the personality, and that rubbed off on me on many different occasions or many different ways. And so I want my website to reflect that as well. You go to my website, it's a pretty edgy website. Not too many guys that look like me and sound like me or leading with the color purple and pink. And that says something right there on many different levels. But if you look at my content and watch my videos, and you're like, okay, this guy brings a certain energy to the table. I want that kind of energy in my business. Like, I want that kind of energy that to help me. Like, I don't want some person who's passive and, well, we can look at the no, I'm like, let's get after it. And that's me. That's my personality. Not everybody's going to like that. And if you're not like that, you're not a horrible human being. You attract other people like that. That's all. Like, that's right. Why not work with the people that you love to work with that are more like you? Right. So I guess the point that I'm trying to drill home here is your business brand reflecting your personal brand? And if it's not, why? Why isn't it?
And that time is gone where business owners could just kind of stay in the background behind the scenes and just let the face of the company kind of run the gamut, right? Just it's done. You got to get yourself out there.
I think so. And you're seeing a lot of the bigger brands do this now.
Yeah.
Target has their little dog, and they're doing a lot of branding through their little dog.
Yeah. Right? They've got a mascot. Or, well, I mean, look, even the bigger guys have known about this for a very long time, but now that's trickled down to, the small business owner. So, I mean, if you think about, okay, like the bigger guys, who am I talking about? You got Richard Branson, Virgin Airlines, right? I mean, let's take it back, like before the internet days, that like the guys that really made it big and put their brand, and they were right next to their brand. They were the marketers of their brand. Mm-hmm. Richard Branson, Steve Jobs, Bill Gates, right?
Thomas.
All of these guys.
Think of the guy from Wendy's. What's his name?
That's right, Dave Thomas.
Dave Thomas.
Yeah. Jack in the Box, but I don't think he actually founded Jack in the Box. But I mean, yes, there's mascots, but then there's also real live people that started their own companies, and they stood right next to them. They actually came out and talked about their brand. And guess what? As we got into the digital age, it became incumbent on every single business owner to now get out there and do the same. Guess what? We do that anyways. We're out there at networking events. We're out there at speaking engagements. We're out there in different settings talking about our business, telling people how we're different, how we approach things differently. It's nothing different when it comes to being online and reflecting our company's brand through our brand.
Exactly. And so I was on my walk this morning, and it was one hell of a walk, because I got to tell you, I had so many things running through my head, and it's like how I start my day is I have to get out there and walk, whether it's 2 degrees or if it's 80 degrees and raining, pouring, I'm out there on my walk, because I have to get that clarity out, right? And that my thinking, and I do a lot of thinking when I'm walking. Today I had so many thoughts going through my head. And one of the thoughts that came into my head was about the fear of other people's opinion. That was one thought. And I'll address that in a second. And well, let's get into that, right? So for those folks that have followed me, I've talked about this before, where I grew up, a large majority of my life, I grew up very insecure. And to the point now where I've dropped that bag at the curb, and I'm basically being who I truly am, and really embracing it. But I feared for so many years the thought of people's opinion of me, like where I would, I've had family members say to me, Henry, who the hell do you think you are? What are you doing on social media? Who do you think you are? Why do you have that house? Why do you drive those cars? Rich people drive those cars. You're not rich. This is what they would say to me. And I'd say, okay. And it would hurt, dude. I would go into like these thought processes, like, maybe I'm not rich. Maybe I shouldn't be driving these cars. Maybe I look like a real asshole in these cars. Maybe I shouldn't have this business. Maybe I know nothing about what I'm doing. Maybe. Is that serving me?
That dialogue is going to kill you, man. It will paralyze your progress.
Literally.
I've been there.
Literally.
Trust me, I've been there.
And so I say to myself now, what are you going to do, Henry? Because the day will come where somebody's going to say it again. And it's going to trigger a lot of that deep emotion of your past. So how are you going to respond now? Because that's life.
Yeah.
Life is all about how you respond to things. It's not what happens to you. So what are you going to say? Somebody says, Henry, who do you think you are? I'm gearing up for this. I'm like waiting for the next opportunity for this to happen. That's how excited I am about it. It's so different. I don't fear it anymore. I encourage it. Henry, who do you think you are? You know, I'm going to respond one word. Me. Me. If you don't like it, you don't have to. You don't have to watch another goddamn video of mine. You don't have to be in my presence. Period. And that goes from the top to the bottom. And I am going to embrace that 1,000%, because I refused to tiptoe through life just to get to death safely. I see too many people walking that path, and then they get to 90, 95 years old, look back and, oh, I shoulda, coulda, woulda, but I was so afraid of what other people were going to think of me. That ship sailed.
Yeah.
The ship sailed for me personally. And so you don't have to watch another video of mine. You don't have to pay attention to me. You don't. But to think that your words are going to affect me moving forward, not happening. Not happening. I know who I am. I know who I'm not. And that's all that matters to me. So what does this say about your brand? I want to tie this back to business. If you want to attract cheap people, then look cheap. If you want to attract a higher quality client, you better raise your bar, Bal.
You attract what you project.
I am a firm believer of that.
Yeah.
We're going through some shit right now. I'm not going to get too personal here. We're going through some shit right now on social media. And I'm just saying to myself, when I say shit, I say, us, I talk about family. I will not spend 1 second of my energy feeding into this bullshit that's going on right now. And if you have a problem, you could surely, where the fuck I live. Right? But I will not feed into this fucking nonsense. I got nothing to say about it. And it is what it is. You get what you give. If you give nothing, you will receive nothing. So I'll leave it at that. That is the law of the universe. Right? That is the law of the universe. But I refuse to come into drama or get sucked into drama. I won't tolerate it. I don't give a shit about it. Go figure it. Go backstroke in that shit. I got no energy for it, nor the time.
No need to get involved in it, man.
That's it. And so so I don't know where the hell I came from that. I'm all over the place today, but I'm drilling this back home to what does your brand say about your business? You have to get super clear on that. You got to know who the hell you're talking to, why you're talking to them, and why they should freaking listen to you. And if you're a no nonsense type of person like myself, then you need to present yourself that way. You can't be wishy-washy. You can't the first pitchfork that gets thrown at you, you can't say, "Oh shit, I'm going to go hide in my hole now." Like pitchforks get thrown at me all day long, personally and professionally. You know what I do now? Instead of running from them, I fucking grab them. And I throw them in the garbage. It's a different way of life. It's a different
clear on who you are and be direct about it. I think that goes a long way. And
that's what you're picking up.
I have followed Henry for about 4 years now.
Wow, I can't believe
and I mean you've been doing what you're doing, like in terms of your video content and all that, for probably much longer than that. But 4 years is my time span. And I think what has allowed for all of us, many of us in your audience, to gravitate towards you is that level of not just the energy, but that level of directness and that level of clarity in who you are, right? You said that you dealt with a lot of what I would probably say an imposter syndrome earlier in your years, right? Just lack of certainty, lack of assuredness in your own personality, because people questioned you, so you allowed for that to take place in your mind. But once you broke through that, and believe me, I would say I've gone through that much more recently and had to break through that, right? Mm-hmm. But think about the impact that you have had, Henry, once you were able to break that cycle. And I think a lot of that had to do with what goes on in your mind and leading with confidence.
Amen.
And guess what? That has an impact on your personal brand. That has an impact on your corporate brand.
And so it all comes back to internal work.
Yeah.
Right. And so getting really clear on that, like if your actions speak different than your thoughts, that's where we have conflict.
Yeah.
I think Gary said it a long time ago, like, your ambitions need to meet your actions need to line up or be as equivalent to your ambition.
That's right.
There's a lot of people that talk a big game, talk a lot of shit, but they don't do anything.
Yeah.
Right. And it's clear and present. Like, just how much have you accomplished? I want to share this with you, Oasis. This is something that I heard on a podcast recently. They said, if you fast forward 10 years, will your business have 10 years experience, or will you just have repeated your first year of business 10 times? Whoa.
Yeah. Yeah.
That one hit for me,
Yeah.
because how many people out there are saying, well, I've been in business for 25 years. What have you done?
Yeah.
What
have you accomplished? Yeah.
Yeah.
What have you learned, and how have you improved? Right.
Yeah.
Whether it be the brand aspect of your business, but then everything else, all the other facets that belong to that business.
Yeah.
The people, yourself, right?
Yep. Yep. It's so important to understand. And so here's the real message. I'm going to just say it, and it'll land for some and it'll turn other people off. I can promise you. But have you really, really looked at your online presence recently? And are you really, really proud of it? Yes or no? Does it really reflect who you truly are? And have you put the effort and time and investment into it? Because I can say this with a clear head, that the majority of small businesses out there have not taken the time to do a professional brand development. And you can see it through their actions, AKA cable television commercials of used car dealerships. How awful are those fucking things? Yeah. If they took one strategy session with me, they would know never to fucking post that video ever again. It's awful.
Maybe we should do maybe you should YouTube some of those and just live stream those
Just
in the next one.
Completely destroy. I told you that we don't do that always. And now I'm lying to the audience.
This is what you don't do.
Yeah, we won't destroy your online presence. No. And here I am killing, nitpicking their videos. But I guess the point that I'm trying to make is, guys, you're going to get you're going to attract a lot of what you are. So if you raise the standard and raise the bar for you and your business, you will attract a much higher quality, similar individual. So if you want to hang out with angry, disgruntled, divorced people, if you want to hang out with cheap people, if you want to hang out with all of that, and then just the list goes on, pessimistic people, if you want to hang out with people that don't give a shit what they look like, blah, 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 fill in the blank. Believe me when I tell you right now, eventually you will become one of them. Your circle of influence will determine your altitude and what you become in life. So unfortunately, I saw what was going on in certain parts of my life, And I said, I no longer want to be part of that. And you could fucking talk about me until you're fucking purple in the face. It's not signing. I'm done with that nonsense. And that is a decision that I made. That's a decision I made. Got no bearing on you. And I moved on.
I love when the jersey comes out, man.
It's coming out strong today. I've had like, I woke up this morning. I'm not going to lie. I woke up this morning and I woke up mad. I don't know why. I just woke up mad and not towards anybody. More towards myself, because I said, what are you doing? Like, are you really playing full out? Or are you tiptoeing around because you're afraid of what people are going to say about you? Because I had Sean Kennel on an IG Live today. If you know who Sean Kennel is, this dude has a huge YouTube channel, huge. And he owns a company called Think Media. And when I asked him, what was your biggest mistake when you as a creator, a content creator? And I wasn't ready for his answer. His answer was being a victim of, what did he call it? FUPA, fear of other people's opinion. And that really triggered me this week. I have not stopped thinking about it since. And I woke up like really growly this morning because I was like, I questioned myself. I said, are you not doing certain things even today because you're afraid of other people's opinion? And it really, and I think what made me angry was the answer was yes. The answer was yes. And so I said, that's it. Everything I put out today is going to be the antithesis of that. And that's why I just did a live stream with one of my clients an hour ago. And I basically gave it to you the way I'm giving it to you right now, because I refuse to go back to that fear, because it's not healthy for me. I'm going to wind up, I'm going to wind up sick one day physically because I'm worrying too much about what other people are thinking.
So what's the one thing that you told yourself this morning, especially when you were going through that train of thought? What's that one thing that you said and that we can learn from and say, okay, you know what? We're no longer going to fear the opinions of others and let that hold us back.
I said to myself, and this is going to sound cliche, but it worked for me. I'm on a mission to help as many people as I can before I die. Okay. And I refuse to walk in fear because you may not like what I say or do. And if I let you stop my mission, then I stop living. And I'm not ready to die yet. I'm not. So I'm going to continue to march. And you could either march with me or march without me. But I'm going.
No.
And that's what I said to myself. And I got in the gym and I let it all out this morning. And I left there like super pumped. And I walked into my first meeting with a client this morning. Well, it's 7 a.m. where they were, but it was 10 my time. And I had all this energy, and that meeting was awesome. We got a lot of shit accomplished, and we are like ready to go. And I said, that's what I needed today. I needed to just sit with those thoughts, understand where they're coming from, and do something with them. You can't put it in a pocket or put it in a closet any longer. You have to address them. And I just thought about like the things that were said to me as a kid and growing up, even in my older years, where I had a family member say, Henry must be selling drugs to live the life that he's doing, to live the life he's living. And that always sat with me. That always kind of like was a needle in my side. And I said, wow, how many years I internalized that and made myself think that I wasn't worthy of the things that I had in my life because of that statement. And then I thought about who said it. And I realized how insecure they were to even say something like that.
Yeah.
And I thought about it when you pull out, when you pull out and you actually look at things from a higher level, you realize that a lot of the nastiness that people say about you is because either they want what you have and they lack it, or they haven't. That's basically it. Or they see something in you that bothers them inside, so they want to attack you for it. I think
There's just no propensity for growth in themselves, right?
Well, I don't know if that's it. I think it's an insecurity of some sort that they haven't dealt with, and they're projecting it out on you.
Yeah.
I see it all the time. There's people in my family that just fear money. They just fear it. And I took the Colby assessment this week, and that was the furthest thing from what the assessment said about me. Like I'm an implementer. I'm going out there. I don't need to do 1,000 fact checks. I'm going to be more instinctual, and I'm going to go out there and progress and create. And that was some great insight that I got from that. Anybody that ever, if you ever took the Colby, if you haven't taken the Colby test yet, do it. It's awesome. Take the Colby A, Kolbe, Colby. And it tells you a lot about who you are. And yeah, some will say, oh, that's just a marketing thing for you to buy shit. Yeah, probably. But a lot of that stuff that it spit out.
Accurate.
Very accurate. Yeah, very accurate. I just want to say this. The one of the best chapters of a book that I ever read in my entire life was in the 4 Agreements book. I told you about that book.
Mm-hmm.
In the 4 Agreements book, there's a chapter that it's basically one of the 4 agreements, and it's don't take it personal. Don't take it personal. I see the arguments that are happening in my personal life and in my professional life. And I see it now that I know I read the chapter. The fights are happening because people are personalizing it when it's got nothing to do with you. Honestly, people really don't care about you as much as you think. And I don't say that in a bad way. I don't.
So can I add 3 things to this real quick?
Yeah, please go. And then we wrap. I didn't know we were going an hour today.
I know. So I'm going to be quick about this. Okay. So the clubhouse room that you were leading, I think it would start like 6 or 7 in the morning with a couple of the other guys, the incantations and intentions, right?
Yep.
And there was one statement that was made on a frequent basis. Energy flows where your attention goes, right? That's one. Then the other one is just something that I think about when a lot of this, this paralysis in action happens as a result of me thinking of what are people going to think about this? And I think, you know what? Out of sight, out of mind. And if I don't mind, it doesn't matter. If I don't mind, it does not matter, and it will not matter.
I like that a lot.
It will only carry weight if you allow for it to. And then the third is connected to your circle of your sphere of influence. And this is, think about it like this: your family, your friends, your clients, and more importantly, when they talk about the whole your five are your most influential, right? Your five, you are the average of the five people you surround yourself with. Well, guess what? Guess what? The one that takes up the highest percentage of that average, at least from my perspective, is your romantic partner. How are your averages looking? Think about that, right? So without going too much in that direction, think about all of those components and the people that you're surrounding yourself with in terms of clients, romantic partners, your friends, your family, the ones that are really forming the way that you perceive everything around you and process, especially the way that you're navigating through specific adversities. Let go of the anchors in your life, because if you're not, they will become the anchors. Those people will become the anchors if they're and if they're not pushing you forward, they're holding you back, and that's why they're anchors.
That's
right. Let them go. Drop them.
That's right. And we're not promoting divorce, or we're not telling you to dump your girlfriend or boyfriend or significant other, or we're not saying any of that. What we're saying is make sure you stay true to who you are and never lose that, because when you lose sight of that, you get yourself in trouble.
It's like you said, and it goes back to the branding aspect of it, right? Creating standards. When you are clear on your mission, your purpose, right? When you're clear on that, when you've defined that for your company, for your brand, you have now specified what standards you live by. And what standards you will operate your business by. And guess what? The ones that are unqualified will filter themselves out.
Thank you.
And that's the power of branding.
You don't have to apologize for who you are ever. So to wrap this up, what does your branding say about you? Has everything to say about what you think and feel about yourself. And your brand should always be an offshoot of who you are as a person, because that is your X factor. There is no other Oasis in this world or Henrys in this world that will be just like us. And we embrace that and we lean into that. And so that's why I know we went personal and we went crazy deep over here when it comes to this stuff today, but it's really an inside game. It's an internal game. So if you want high quality, then you need to step up and become that. If you are not confident about your branding, then you need to do something about that. You need to invest in it. So everything that you're fearing needs to be actually leaned into to make that happen. So if you want high quality, become it. If you want first class, become it, because you will attract who you are. So the more you raise up your bar and draw your line in the sand, this is who I'm for, this is who I'm against, and own it, you'll see the quality of clients that come your way. So, Oasis, what a great conversation, man. This was like a mini therapy session for me too, by the way.
Happy to help.
Yeah. So guys, I hope you enjoyed this. If you're watching on YouTube, make sure you drop a follow and drop a comment. What was your biggest takeaway from today's conversation? And if you're on Facebook, do the same thing in the comments. I would love to get your feedback on this, just to see where everything sort of lay down for you and what resonated with you and what didn't. I want to know what didn't. So have an amazing day, guys, and we'll catch you on the next one real soon. Take care. Bye-bye.